On this episode...
Hey, she's great!
Well, yeah, I mean, this picture was about like 92, and there was a lot of blackfish being landed in the North Sea.
Right.
Blackfish means fish landed at night illegally.
The whirlpool is so powerful that it sets up a kind of a low rumble.
Can you hear that noise?
My name is Jeremy Norman. I'm the principal owner of Soho Gyms. And before that, I started the world-famous Heaven nightclub.
I'm Derek Frost, and professionally I used to be an interior designer.
I met Derek when he was 25 and I was 29. We've been together ever since. I heard on the radio someone saying that spring travels up through Britain at the pace of a walking man. And I thought that was an intensely romantic notion.
Every summer, Derek and Jeremy charter Killarney, an 80-foot, twin-screw diesel motor yacht. Usually, they cruise the Mediterranean. This journey will be different. They'll start at the tip of England, the Isles of Scilly. From there, they'll go up the Bristol Channel to South Wales. And from South Wales, up the coast of Wales, across the Irish Sea to Northern Ireland. Then, up the coast of Northern Ireland, right to the very top, to Rathlin Island, and then across to the Mull of Kintyre in Scotland. They'll then proceed up the Inner Hebrides to Ullapool, taking in all the famous islands, and then from Ullapool across the treacherous Minch to the Outer Hebrides, and from there on to St Kilda, hopefully, if they make it. Last time, Killarney proved too big for the Crinan Canal.
I'm going to have to go round.
Mr. Rob Common.
You know the beach around the corner?
Come aboard. Captain Rob.
Derek and Jeremy collected Rob Common.
Oh, this is like lock school.
Rob piloted the rib.
We've got to fill this one up, haven't we?
And finally, they made it through the canal and rejoined Killarney. With Killarney anchored in Loch Crinan, they awake to a beautiful spring morning. Derek and Jeremy head ashore. Derek spots the local fisherman who sold the crew langoustine the day before.
Thank you very much for the langoustine. Hey guys, so what happened? Did our crew came over to you?
You know, quite a lot of them and some tails.
Well, that's incredibly kind of you. So did you fish these at the ocean?
Yes, last night.
Last night. And how do you fish for these? Look at these magnificent things.
With that net,
Huh?
With a net.
That
net
net.
goes in the boat.
And what do you do? How big is a net like that?
Come up in there, maybe to the last collar there.
Really?
With big hoppers there. Come up.
What, you've got something that keeps the net open and then you troll.
Aye, they doors, aye.
And you troll the net, do you?
Aye.
I mean, they're bloody good looking, aren't they? Tell us, how much do you sell it for a kilo?
They biggies are spending about 80 pound a kilo, they big.
£80 a kilo.
Aye. We just land them in there, they go away to Bellshill, then they go to Spain.
Well, we're very grateful for our lot. Thank you very, very much.
No problem.
Good, and best of luck with your fishing, huh?
Aye.
Best of luck with your fishing. Take care, sir.
Aye,
They continue on to the Crinan Hotel for breakfast. While there, they get talking to owner Nick Ryan.
We're going to Corryvreckan today. Perhaps you could tell us what we should be careful of and what we might see.
Corryvreckan is probably the third or the fourth biggest whirlpool in the world, and it's caused by a very strong tide flooding between a gap of approximately 1.5 miles.
Right.
And the prevailing wind is the other side of this gap, and the tide comes up at about 8 or 10 knots, about 12 miles an hour. And inestimable amount of water trying to get through a small gap. The wind tries to hold it back. The water there is about 600 feet.
Is it on the flooding tide that it's
Yes.
the most
Yes, on the flood.
On the flood.
On the flood with a westerly or southwesterly wind, you get the overfalls, and it really is a very dangerous place. If it's been active for a few days with very, very strong westerly winds, then the whirlpool is so powerful that it sets up a kind of a low rumble. It's rather like a huge convoy of lorries going by at speed. You seem to hear them after the last one has gone.
Nick's wife Frances and their son Ross are artists. Both have work on display at the hotel.
Yeah, well, I wanted to be a bid man first, but
You went through that,
Yeah.
And what then it occurred to you wanted to be an artist?
it didn't occur. It was the only subject at school that had any strength, really.
Right.
And I guess I was quite interested in it, but not massively.
Right.
But then, when I heard more stories about art school, it kind of sounded more my line of field.
More appealing.
Yeah.
What medium is it?
It's a collagraphed print with lots and lots of different layers. There's like multi-plate. There's probably maybe 16 plates to build it up.
What plate means like it's like a lithograph or something, or?
Yeah, well, I use hardboard and different textures on the hardboard. Sometimes I'll build the surface stuff with net, or the lines cut out with a Stanley blade,
Right.
and you just layer upon layer upon layer. And then, like, the paper gets to a stage where it doesn't really take anymore. So, at this period, I was really into the politics of fishing. Well, it used to be a really busy fishing village here.
Right.
I mean, boats going in and out all night, and then it's all fished out now, so there's not much happening.
There's no fish out there.
There's no fishies, as in like whitefish, not really. But there used to be bigfish, shellfish here, and before that there was lots of herring.
Right.
And
Even in your day.
yeah, I can't really remember the herring, but I remember the clam period and like the prawns.
Is that just overfishing?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Yeah.
And as an artist, as an artist rather than anything, does that upset you?
It doesn't. I like to. Yeah, I mean, it's sad.
Artistically,
I mean, that we've done it so quickly, cleaned them up. But I mean, I have friends who are fishermen, and you got to listen to both sides of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just the unlucky ones where it happened in their generation.
Yeah.
So I like to. Well, it does upset me, and.
But when you use the word politics when you describe this, you said.
Well, yeah. I mean, this picture was about like '92, and there was a lot of blackfish being landed in the North Sea.
Right.
Blackfish means fish landed at night illegally.
I see.
In fact, a third of all the fish landed at that time were illegal.
So is that the symbolism of those two blackfish?
Yeah, that's it. And those are the 6 main species in the North Sea. Mum and I talk about art a lot, and we can go in and slay each other's work.
That's fabulous, isn't it?
Well, it's handy, yeah, because you need that.
Ross's mother Frances has several pieces on display which reveal an entirely different approach.
Do you draw before you paint?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Yeah,
as long as I can, if I get my horizon as I want it, then I build it from there. It's more,
In paint?
yeah, straight on. But that's why I paint very quickly and feeling that it's got to be wet on wet paint to keep that feeling of life in it.
I mean, this is a fantastic move from that, isn't it?
Yes, it's a development. from
This
that,
is
yeah.
recent work, is it? And it's all palette.
Yes.
Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 like that. Yeah, but it's nice because actually that's the beach, isn't it?
Yes, so
That's
that
how the
would,
beach moves,
yeah.
where
So you can see if I played around with that for days, I wouldn't get any further than if I just did it in one stroke.
it would be awful. I mean, as you say, it would die, wouldn't it?
I think it might.
No,
So that's
definitely it would die. I mean, this is nice, isn't it? How these bars of colour seem to be describing the water shallowing.
Yeah.
It's very immediate. It's really gutsy and immediate stuff. I love it.
Much too soon, it's time for them to move on. They head back to the harbour.
Tell me a bit about razor clam diving. It's quite shallow water, isn't it?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
On sandy or mud?
Sand or silt, just as the sand moves off to the silt, yeah.
And the razor clams actually come out of the water, out of the sand.
That's correct.
So you can actually see them, and you have to be very quick.
Yes, they salt the seabed in an area and wait till they start to come up, then they hand pick them out.
You dive for them?
Yes.
But you can't salt when you're diving.
Yes, of course. Rock salt. Yeah.
Fascinating. And how long did it take to putting the salt in the razor clam period?
Anything from 5 seconds to 20 seconds.
I'm so sad that we couldn't get any razor clams off because I adore razor clams. And I can never find them in England. Because they all go to Spain, don't they?
Yeah, Spain, Middle East, isn't it? Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Jeremy wants to know how much Dimmy paid for the langoustine.
How much you paid for that?
I think he paid 60.
60 quid.
They would pay about 5 times that in London.
It's 40 miles on a 40-mile passage, and then we'll be all right to pick up a good tidal run going up through Jura here. So I mean, we're better to leave, let's say now, and pick up a foul tide going down the Sound, and so we can still get we can get a favourable tide going north.
Actually, the fisherman called them prawns, so I thought they had a load of prawns. He said like big ones, small ones.
So what do you call those things?
I call them langoustines,
Right.
or they can be called crayfish.
50, 60 crop. What are you going to do there with them?
I was going to, for lunch today, I was going to say do four each, and I was going to do them on the char grill.
Take care. Safe fishing.
Before lunch, they embark on an expedition in the Rib. Rob Common is at the wheel. They make the 10-kilometre journey to the Gulf of Corryvreckan, which lies between the northern tip of Jura and the island of Skaba. It's famous for its mighty whirlpool. On the way, they encounter one of the locals.
Look at him just playing there. He's having a lovely old time. Wow, it's amazing to be out here with all its reputation on a morning that's so calm. Yeah. But like you say, it can change a lot in an hour.
We're actually on a little whirlpool now. Divers can literally be dragged right to the bottom of the sea in a matter of seconds.
Look at the razor bill.
Up. See how we're spinning around. Firstly, it's the tide, the movement of the tide from other side to t'other here, either ebbing or flowing. The second factor, which also causes the dangerous element to it, is the wind as well, which is coming from a westerly or northwesterly. Can create something called a standing wave, which is almost, if you imagine, the best way to describe it is a solid state wave, which can go up to 8 metres. If that hits you or you hit it, it can obviously capsize your vessel remarkably easily. And the third and probably the most important factor which creates this is the underground mountain, which is about 22 metres?
Sea mountain, I think.
26
or 27.
27 metres, which comes right out of the seabed, and that almost creates, if you like, local eddies within this channel here. That coupled with strong spring tides, which we're on at the moment, which the tides when they're at the highest, means that there can be a difference of up to 1.5 metres between the tide on that side of the island, and it's trying to squeeze itself through this gap here. That coupled with the eddies creates a vortex and the dangerous conditions, and this is considered probably one of the most, if not the most dangerous piece of water in the UK.
A passing sightseeing boat illustrates the power of the tide.
This is the sea boat.
On top of it at the moment.
On top of it.
just over here to the right hand side is where the centre of it is. So we should start seeing some action in about an hour and a half.
That guillemot, she's already.
While they wait for the tides, they decide to explore the nearby Bag Glenamach, or Bay of the Glen of Pigs, a sheltered cove on the northwestern tip of Jura.
Yeah, I mean, how beautiful it is, this bracken all just starting. You can see like the tiny bit of dead bracken left, and these incredibly virile, vigorous new stems of bracken, just new and fresh and completely covering here. Beautiful, just with the bluebells coming up.
After enjoying the peace of the island, they race back to see if the whirlpool has strengthened.
Can you hear that noise?
Yeah, that's a standing wave that forms.
Quite sinister, it's all completely flat.
But you think about the currents, they're going up and down as well as around. That's why, again, it's so dangerous. Look at those standing waves that's forming there.
It's quite.
And this is on nothing at the moment, nothing.
Let's go and eat, and then we'll come back and take a look.
With lunch calling, Jeremy decides that they'll go and eat and then come back later to see if there is anything more happening.
Oh yeah. The killer longestine.
That's what I call seafood.
Well, that is fantastic. Thank you, Ren. Thank you, Ren. Thank you, longestine.
After a delicious lunch, they set off once again for the whirlpool.
There's something interesting forming over there still.
Clicky.
Strange patches of glassy calm waters are interspersed with churning sea, which seems to appear and disappear at random.
Look at the waves over there, my God.
The waters seem to boil and bubble beneath the little boat.
Just drift if you want.
Yeah, let's just drift and see where it takes us. So it's a great time to be here. Yeah. Look there, see.
It's peppered everywhere.
Look there, millions. Look, wow.
Vortices suddenly appear, and then just as swiftly are gone. It's an unsettling experience. Left to drift freely, the rib spins in circles as it hits a whirlpool.
That's the best way to record it.
I can imagine the strong nor'westers or westerlies, big swell coming off the Atlantic there against the flood tide. It'd just be hell. It'd be good to have sitting on a cliff though, having a look.
right on the mountain now, actually.
Look at that, it just formed. Yeah. There's a bubble, like, woo, from time to time it forms. It bursts out, like a bubble.
Right. In half an hour it'll be ebbing. This was the strongest when you came back to the boat at 2 o'clock.
Right.
Told you.
2 o'clock when you came back to the boat.
Yeah.
Where were you? I thought you were here.
We were beached.
Right. That was the strongest time when this was running.
Well, we didn't see a whirlpool.
We saw lots of little whirlpools.
We saw little tiny whirlpools, but not the sort of big, mega blockbuster that I've been promised. I feel I want my money back.
Scottish tourist board, are you?
Defrauded. I was promised 3-foot standing waves, and I got 3-inch standing waves. But it's still a magnificent sight, and the place is great. There's a huge amount of turbulence and upwelling, which creates very confused water. And you can see how on a tide like this, if you had a strong wind blowing, you could have some really serious issues. Yeah.
With no wind to excite the waters into greater action, they head back to Killarney. At the harbour, they run into Ross, the young artist they met earlier.
Hey, she's great. Wow. What a pretty boat.
We'll get there.
What a pretty boat. How long's she been yours?
Well, not that long actually, but she's been in the family 60 years.
In?
Yeah, no, she's a nice boat. Oh, she was built in Scotland and stuff. This boat we don't go far in, it's just really for racing. That's the one we go all over the place in, yeah. Yeah, that's Cormorant in Gaelic.
Cormorant in Gaelic?
Yeah. That's about all the Gaelic I know. Have you been at
part of your great recent pictures? It's fantastic.
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens with it. I gave Mum one.
So she mounted it?
Yeah, well I stole a few frames. Have you been out at the whirlpool or?
Yeah, I couldn't see any whirlpool problem.
On the second hour of the flood it will be good. You'll probably get 8 knots there tonight. One direction.
Well, it's great to see the boat.
Well, no, thanks for popping that.
I'm really glad you were here.
After a full day, they're finally back on board. Everyone heads early to bed. Tomorrow, they will once again be chasing spring. Next time.
Well, that's a raised beach, and Jura's famous for them. And they came about during the latter part of the Ice Age.
Don't by any chance have anything on board we can buy off you in the way of food?
You squat lobsters before, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Are you sure?
We're on an uninhabited small island, about 35 miles from Oban, and it is an early Christian community of the 5th to 8th centuries AD.